This is the vlog for August 24th, 2018. And the week is over. What a week it's been. Even though I had Monday off, the last 4 days at work, except for one day, I think like Wednesday, have just been very busy, a little bit stressful. I'm glad that I have some time to recharge. But I've got the D&D game on Sunday. This will be the wrapping up of the one-off that I was doing with my friends. I guess this makes it a two-off. Although it's one contained adventure in 4 parts. And we did the first 2 parts about 2 weeks ago, and we will do the second 2 parts on Sunday. And they should actually take less time than the first 2. And then we'll see how everybody feels about the game. I think regardless of whether or not everybody's anxious to keep doing it, I need some time to not be stressing over D&D, and some time just for the construction in my house to complete. I can take notes and make preparation, but I want a month or 2 before I jump into an ongoing campaign. And we'll see how I feel after a month or 2. I also just want to use September and October to play some games. There's a lot of good stuff on the horizon. I've talked about Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur just had a trailer this week that's revealed to be it's called the Libra of Souls, but it's the Create a Soul feature where you make your own fighter using one of the other characters' fighting styles, but then you create the look of your character with quite a lot of options from what I was able to see. So I'm excited to play with that because apparently that's the single player mode. The single player sort of adventure mode is making this character and going on an adventure with them. And I'm really anxious to see how that works. It's a fine line for fighting games, right? So what the competitive crowd wants is a really well balanced versus mode, not funny tournament modes or weird modes with weird special effects for the weapons where weapons can drain health or cause you to explode into the air. They don't want that. They want the core you versus someone else fight, and the better player, the player that understands their character and their opponent's character better, is more likely to win. That's the mode they want. The amount of people who want that out of the whole audience that the fighting game is trying to target is actually pretty small. So making a game that only appeals to that usually ends up falling short in overall market absorption, whatever it's called, where consumption. For example, Street Fighter V focused mainly on the core gameplay of versus mode, and it tried really hard to have a really good online mode, but it didn't launch with a single player sort of story mode. It had a very basic arcade mode where you fight 8 guys and the boss, I think. I haven't played it myself, mostly because of all the bad reviews. But after the story mode was released in an update, it saw a larger amount of people pick it up because now they were interested in doing it. So it's such a frustrating thing, and I can imagine fighting game developers going out of their little minds because they know that the longevity of the game is driven by the core experience, especially that core multiplayer experience where people can take fighters and compete against each other. But the initial, rush of customers is going to be a casual crowd that's going to play the game a couple of times, maybe with their friends, but probably go through the single player, the longest single player experience that they can get through. Maybe do some challenges on the side. But that's about it. And they're going to enjoy the game for a couple of weeks and then probably put it away unless it's got that really good multiplayer experience, and then we'll keep playing it. Soul Calibur 5 had that. Soul Calibur 5 had a really interesting story mode and a fairly basic arcade mode and a survival mode that was pretty cool. But it had really solid online multiplayer compared to its previous incarnation. Maybe not the best it could be, but much better. And it showed that Bandai Namco were learning. The problem was with that particular game is that they had burned their base with Soul Calibur 4 and its sort of weird mix of having Star Wars characters that didn't feel right for the game, and a very limited form of story mode where each character basically went through arcade mode and then had a special ending, maybe a special mid-game, mid cutscene with a mid-boss, and just no sort of official story. So a lot of people didn't expect Soul Calibur 5 to be much better, and it was, but they didn't pick it up to find out. Sometimes games pay for their predecessor. Another example would be Mega Man X8. Mega Man X8 was a lot of fun. It got back to the Mega Man X sort of root experience. Didn't have any 3D levels. It was a 2.5D game, so you played it as a 2D game, even though it was rendered in 3D. It was really good, but that didn't really matter because of how bad Mega Man X7 was. People didn't pick it up and adopt it. And so, you know, a lot of times, and this holds true to some movies as well, you'll make a really bad experiment, and then you'll try and recover from that, but the recovery doesn't go as well as the failed experiment because people bought into the failed experiment expecting something great and being disappointed. They're not willing to give the redemption a try. And I thought that Soul Calibur was never going to recover after Soul Calibur 4 and 5. And to be fair, Soul Calibur 3 had a lot of problems too. But it showed that they were getting better. And I think a lot of people, now that it's been quite a long time, it was actually a very short period of time between Soul Calibur 4 and Soul Calibur 5. It was only like 2 or 3 years at most. And now it's been 7, maybe even 8. I need to check the dates on that. But that's going to be my October. I'm going to be playing a lot of Soul Calibur in October. There's a couple other games coming out. I can't remember what they are exactly off the top of my head. But I want to be able to get through more Doom and more Battle for Azeroth in September before Soul Calibur hits. And then, so honestly, the Dungeons and Dragons stuff is sort of in my head already, taking the back burner and being sort of put on hold. But at least I've got this one adventure to finish up, and then I'll see how my players feel. Players, if you're actually watching this, I hope you understand how I feel. It's definitely not because you guys were great. You were a lot of fun to play with. I just need to figure my sort of situation out before I jump in both feet. So I'm now going to enjoy my weekend. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.